Well, hello, I'm Jason and welcome back to Journey to Spartathlon. So we are now at the end of week 21. So it has been a couple of weeks since I put out my last video, purely because, well, I've been running. So there has been a huge amount of kilometres done in the last 6 to 8 weeks. So with last month doing over 400 kilometres and about almost 140k of those in 1 week. So the kilometres have they've been long, so 4 to 5 hour training runs. And then say, I'm running ultras to train for an ultra, which is something I've never done before. It's mostly marathons, so you get up to about 35k probably max in this one, but doing a 50k on a training run, it's a different world. So pretty much all the time now I'm thinking about running, feeling guilty for not running, dreaming about running and talking about running. So I think the family's had enough of me talking about running. So we are in taper now. So happy to be in taper, get to relax a little bit, wind it down a little bit, but sort of hopefully not go nuts in taper, just feeling the guilt for not running. So whenever I probably see someone who's running, I'm probably going to get guilty and feel as though I should be running. So going forward, the plan now tapers down, so we sort of go down to about 60% of what we were running for the first week, down to about 40%, and then way down in the lead up to race week. So happy to be in tapering. It has been almost 6 months on this training plan, so feeling good. The body's still talking to me, which is good. No real injuries or anything like that. A couple of during the longer runs, probably a little bit of soreness around the legs and the ankles, but probably to be expected when you're doing runs which 20k on a Friday, 35k on a Saturday, and then a 50k on the Sunday. So they're big weeks, so that's a lot for the body to actually handle. So, and there were a couple of weeks there, and I'll go through that in the plans, where I took the Saturday off because I'd be that tired, or just didn't want to run at all. So I took it as the way the body telling me that take it easy because an injury's about to happen. So listen to that. So it's worked out really well so far, and hopefully getting through taper, we'll be injury free and we'll get into the race week all ready to go and on fresh legs. So obviously with all the kilometres I've been doing, these shoes that I've got have been taking a bit of a beating. So usually I'll operate with two pairs of shoes at the same time and just mix them around. I did get 2 new pairs in the sort of the final, let's say about a month and a half ago, thinking that these would do me through to the race, and they will, but one's already got almost 700 kilometres on them and the other ones have almost got 100 k's on them. So what do? You go get a third pair of shoes. So I haven't worn those yet, but so we'll use a bit of those through taper, but they're all the same model shoe, just different colours. So, but it's one of those things where you get brand new shoes, and the reality is 2.5 months, 3 months later at these distances, the shoes have done 1,000 kilometres, and you can tell the tiredness in the shoe when you put on the brand new shoe. It's a night and day feeling. So, but the shoe looks brand new. It's only 3 months old. So, as my wife said to me, so much for the inexpensive sport of running. So, but I get new shoes. Also, with the longer runs, we were able to test out the foods. So the baby food has been working quite well, which is really good. The muesli bars are good. Also looking at and have been playing around with eating some chicken, rice and beetroot, mixing that with some beef as well, so getting some alternatives there. So the rice with the carbs, a bit of protein in there, the beetroot, an endurance food. So, and just to make sure that, again, it's not going to come back at me, it's simple, it's easy to digest. So looking at those, having those in sort of small portions and continually be eating those throughout the event. So looking now to prepare the nutrition plan, what I'm going to be eating every 20 minutes throughout the whole race, what do I need to prepare for. So as I get into the last week, I'll start buying all that food and preparing it all and getting it ready. So as I said, the baby food is easy, doesn't have as much calories on it, but it is easy on the stomach. I wondered if that's because they feed it to babies. I'm not too sure, but it's good but not a huge amount of calories. So I'm looking to supplement those in other ways with the rice and the meat, as well as some pasta. But just trying to make sure I keep it at small portions throughout the whole thing, and just look to make sure that it is enough food. And I'll cook enough to make sure I can, if I need more food, that I can supplement a bit more from there. But getting those menus together and getting that ready to go, which is a lot of fun. It means I'm right at coming up to the end now, so getting excited for the race. So getting to the end of the longer runs, which was pretty intense. I'm still sitting at about 81 kilo, which is about 3 kilo off what I thought would be a goal weight for the race. The body, not being stubborn or anything, but I think just because the amount that I'm running, I have been at times super hungry, and so I'll just eat. Within the taper, I've got to look out for that, just to make sure I'm not going to put on an extra couple of kilos during that time, because we're not running as much, but maintaining that level of eating. But I have listened to the body to sort of say, look, if you're hungry, I'm going to eat. I'll look at the foods to make sure that they're the right foods, not always, but it's sat there at 81 kilos. It's happy. I don't feel heavy, don't feel overly light, but I'm just conscious to make sure that it's at the right weight. I did when doing the pace sessions, I don't feel super heavy on those ones, and I do generate a fairly good pace for what I'm able to do. So happy with the overall metrics on that one. It'll be interesting to see. Yes, I'll lose weight during the actual race, but I think that'll be quickly put back on after as well. So what have I been doing for weeks 19 through to 21? So week 19 was, they all follow the standard formula and framework that I've got, with the Tuesdays and Thursdays being somewhat pace sessions, but that does change a little bit in those last couple of weeks. So Tuesday still remains a fartlecking for 45 minutes, so an easy pace run there. But you'll notice that in the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sundays, there's 4 days of consecutive running there, with some pretty good distances there. Same with week 20. Jump into some speed sessions, 5 by 1.5k, and then into a 5k push for 22 minutes. Now, through the whole plan with the 22 minutes, I never actually got below 22 minutes. I think I got to 22:35, 22:38, which, for the weight that I'm at, for the type of training that I'm doing, and I haven't done a huge amount. At the start I was doing some strength work, but that has tapered off a little bit just based on the amount of Ks that I'm doing. So to get me under the 22, I would have thought I'm going to have to do a different type of training on this one. So, but getting to 22 and a half, I was pretty happy with that. It's almost down to a PB. It's got about 20 seconds off a PB, so pretty happy there. But then we jump into post that, then we get into again the 15Ks, 38Ks and the 48Ks. So knocking on that 50s door again, then going into the 21st week, which again was another 8K. Then obviously the consecutive days again, 15, 23, 30, 38 and a 50. I did a 50K on the Sunday. I missed the 38K on the Saturday. I think with the number of weeks before that, I pretty much wasn't missing any of the actual sessions, which was fantastic. But I think on that day, it just caught up with me. So I did take the day off, just did some stretching and some walking, but back into it the next day with, I know it's a 48K that it says there, but did a 50K on there. I didn't think, I was probably about half a K from the house when I reached 48K. So I thought, I can't just leave it at 48 and a half. So I did a couple of laps around the block to get it to 50. Pretty proud of that. That's the longest training run I've ever done. And at the end of it, felt good, felt strong. I think in one thing that I noted within the last 2-3K of each of those long runs, I was starting to push it, bringing up to a bit of a pace of around 5 minutes per K, which so after 47K, I'm running pretty happy with that. I know there's been some marathons where I'm at 38K and I'm barely able to walk in the past. So to be able to do that after consecutive days of running and then push it for those extra couple of Ks to reach the 50 and be at a 5 minute pace, I'm pretty happy with that. I think if you look at it, I'm probably more. I would say that I'm more prepared than any other marathon before, and so the amount of months in training, etc. So we'll see how it goes on the day, because I am conscious this is the first 24-hour race that I've done, and it's a totally different ball game to say a normal marathon for 42k. So yeah, I'm looking to see what's going to happen in this one, because it's going to be new territory entirely. So I feel prepared, but I don't want to be overconfident with the whole thing. So it's going to be a tough one. Will I ever do a second 24-hour? We'll see how we go after this one. So one of the things that I'm doing for the race is putting together a run plan. Now I've got a plan A and a plan B. My line of work, I always have to have multiple plans to get to a particular end result. So always looking at the risks, understanding what could go wrong, and then planning for it and making sure that I've got a plan that's going to be a backup of the backup of the backup. So I've got 2 plans at the moment, and sort of looking at other alternatives there just in case they don't work out. Plan A, and it's a little bit small on the slide, but plan A is pretty much just a straight stretch running component for each hour. I've got noted times for rest per hour, degradation of speed during each hour, so I reduce the speed that I'm going through at each hour just as you get more and more fatigued, increase the amount of rest times per hour as we get closer and closer to the 24 hours. So looking at it from a model as to how much I can do it from a compound point of view from each of the hours. Obviously the amount of distance per hour drops for each one, but as I say, I'm looking 180k is the qualifying amount. I would love to get over 200 kilometers, and this is where I go back to that being overconfident part, being in my first 24-hour race. Am I expecting too much of the first race, and is 200 kilometers an unachievable goal? I don't know. I know how I felt after the 100k that I did at the Tan, but there were some hills in that one, so it had a little bit of extra, not disadvantage, but an extra little bit of effort to get through for each lap. So we'll see. And I know that at the end of the 100k I was pretty fatigued, but I also note the amount of training that I'd done for the 100k. The highest amount of k's that I'd got was about 32 kilometers. So, and also wasn't doing the successive runs, the consecutive runs on the 4 days. So totally different type of discipline for training, different distances as well. So I'm hoping for a lot better result and get to 100k and sort of barely know my name. So we'll see how it goes. Plan B is different in that what I've done there is put together a sort of a cyclical plan, in that for every 2 kilometers I run 1.9k and then walk 100, and that's from the get-go. So I just wanted to see what the differences in the distances were like based on what I said. It's not a huge amount of difference, so I'm looking at the opportunity in that I'll start off with the plan A one and then look to see if there's a particular point in time where I've got to switch to a plan B where I can do that 1.9k at a reasonable speed. And I actually practiced it in a couple of the 48k's that I did, in that I did probably the last 20k where I did a 1.9k run and then a 100 meter walk, and it actually felt pretty good. And the 1.9k distance or speed that I was going for that 1.9k was actually quite respectable. So it is a way in which I can get to the end goal. If I need to push from plan A to plan B, it can be easily done, and it's not going to sacrifice a huge amount of kilometers either. I think between the 2 plans, based on what I've got, there's about a 13k difference. So it's not a bad thing to have that plan there, and I think it'll work out well if I need to go to it, and it won't sacrifice a huge amount of kilometers. And hopefully that 100 meters will give me the rest that I need in those, say if I have to switch to it in say hour 17 or hour 15 or something like that. It's not going to be a huge impact on the overall distance at the end of the day. Yes, there'll be a couple of kilometers there, maybe hopefully I might have some fuel left in the tank to give the last, say, 20 minutes a decent crack, or the last half hour. We'll see how we go. Again, going back into that unknown territory, in that I've run for, say, almost 6 hours on the training, but 24 hours, well, we've got to see how it all pans out. So as I said before, I'm getting all the nutrition ready and putting the meal plan together with the foods that I've been training with. So too with the equipment. So the weather is looking to be pretty good, about 19 degrees on both days, partly sunny, which is good. The wind's at about 12 kilometers an hour, and we may get some rain on the Sunday morning, early on the Sunday morning. So I will have all 3 pairs of runners with me, multiple pairs of shorts. I'm hoping that it's not going to get hugely cold during the night, but I'll pack some running tights in any case, and a long sleeved running top as well. But I'm pretty much going to have probably about 3 or 4 items of each particular type of clothing, in that I'll have a couple of pairs of shorts, but multiple t-shirts, singlet or running top, and some running jumpers as well. So socks as well. It was new sock day the other day. I got delivered 4 brand new pairs of socks, which are fantastic. So always enjoy new socks. It has been a long time. Usually we go down to a race down the beaches every year, but because of COVID that had been cancelled, so it's been well over 2 years since I've got new socks. So got these ones mail delivered. They're fantastic. They feel beautiful. So we head into week 22 now, which is the first week of tapering. So again, we follow the standard framework. We've got a 5 by 1.5k fast session, and on the Thursday we've got a 5 kilometre run as well, just a warm up and a cool down afterwards for that 22. Again, I won't probably try and get a PB or anything, we'll just keep it reasonable. Then a 15k, 6.5k on the Saturday, and then a easy 18k on the Sunday. So fairly straightforward week, probably telling about 60k for that week as compared to the 135, 136, 37 the week before. So it decreases by about 50% of what the sort of the maximum load was, and then the week after we go even lower than about 40%. So making it a little bit easier, and obviously race week is less than that. So, but we'll go through those in the coming weeks. So looking forward to it. It is, it's getting close now. It has been a long 6 months. The motivation is based on now finishing off with a 50k on the weekend and then getting into taper. Motivation is quite high. So really looking forward to the event. I'm getting very nervous, and I think the family will notice that I will get anxious about the whole event, and probably be a little bit difficult. But yeah, no, looking forward to the event very much. It's going to be a mystery how it all pans out. I'm hoping to get very close to the goal that I've set, so we'll see how we go from there. And with all the kilometres I've done, the family has had to put up with my absence, although I do run quite early in the morning sometimes, and my also the want to run all the time, the comments about it, the talking about it all the time. So I do thank the family for putting up with me for especially the last, say, month, 2 months, while it gets into the maximum load stages, as well as my run buddy who has been on the bike with me on those long runs. Pretty much they're to heckle, as well as to give me a kick if I've passed out on the side of the road to get me going again. So there has been a lot of support, which has been great, and I'm looking forward to the support that I'm going to get over the weekend of the event as well. It's not going to be easy. Not going to be easy for me. I don't think it's going to be easy for them, just purely because of the nature of the event itself. So we'll see how we go. It's going to be fun nonetheless. So don't forget in the about of the video for this week's motivational song, and I'll see you next week.